chair is creaky. That's not gonna be fun. You're making me think about things. So what am I saying? My name is maybe Burke. I go by they and she pronouns. It's hard to pinpoint like when I first felt the sense of being queer. I never really felt like I was like in the closet. As soon as I knew who I was, I started telling people because I'm not very good at keeping my own secrets. When I was in 10th grade, I started naming and experiencing like my attraction to men. And at the time I was calling myself gay. I told a friend of mine who basically was like, no, that's not true. So I sat on it for a little bit, but that was probably my first like claiming of a queer term for myself. My queerness specifically, like from my experience, my queerness has solved a lot of my body image issues. And I specifically am talking about my queerness within terms of my gender identity. When I was trying to fit molds of being a gay man, that was not necessarily comfortable for any moment, let alone my body image. Being non-binary, I realized that there really aren't expectations for what a non-binary body looks like, and there's not a standard for non-binary people, at least yet, and I'm hoping that there never is, because non-binary people can look a lot of different ways and come in all shapes and sizes, and that's a thing that definitely has like helped me ground myself in my body. I want there to be a new system that isn't necessarily based on expectations of body for folks, or expectations of beauty and standards and all of those things, but a system that acknowledges difference and acknowledges all of the beauty that can come in different sizes and shapes and all different kinds of people looking different ways and holding themselves to standards of happiness and not necessarily standards of beauty. I would say that the mainstream media isn't necessarily representing queer bodies and queer people. I would say the mainstream media is representing an idealized version of what people expect out of queer bodies and queer people. I think that the more we get to see actual queer people who don't conform to standards of mainstream beauty standards, then the more that we will actually see what queer people look like on TV, in magazines, all of those things. There tends to be, at least in my experience, there tends to be a connotation of queerness rejecting standards of beauty and playing with or going beyond the expectations of what you can do with beauty, with your body, with all of these things. And I don't think that mainstream media has necessarily caught on to that facet of queerness. I think of my relationship to food similarly to my relationship to gender, which is destroying the binary and discounting the expectations. There tends to be a lot of conversation about what food is good for you or what food is bad for you, and I don't think that binary is necessarily helpful, and it's not applicable across the board to all different people. What's good for one body might not be good for another body. Being in quarantine, I realized that my daily experience in the world has been a lot more stressful than I've been thinking it was. I guess I got used to the experience of being outside constantly with a high level of stress and fear, whether or not somebody's gonna say something to me or physically assault me or follow me home. And I didn't really realize how much of a toll they were taking on my body until I had to shelter in place because I wasn't being misgendered every day. I didn't have anxiety over how I was going to use the bathroom or which restrooms I was going to use. 2 or 3 months ago, I probably would have told you that I'm relatively fine navigating this world as a queer person, but I'm realizing now that I wasn't fine, I was coping. There's a lot of conversation amongst social justice and amongst politics and all of these things about what people should or shouldn't be doing and how people should or shouldn't be living. Things that can make people nervous around conversations around what pronouns to use or slurs they're not allowed to say and all of these things aren't rules in place to be politically correct or make sure that people are saying the right things. It's ways to ensure that the people that you're talking about can experience more joy. It's making sure that we don't take happiness away from those people every day. I just think we need more joy. Young people give me hope. Looking at people who are younger than me having more access to conversations it took me a while to find, and being able to push those conversations to places I haven't heard them go yet brings me a lot of hope.